Welcome back to the end of the life journey, a show that is covering issues around end of life support, terminal illness and burial. And I've got both my guests, Rupina from Eating Care, Dr. Caroline. She was talking about her own experiences around the death of her father. She's been practicing as a local GP in Hamlets for a number of years, and I wanted you to continue.
What I wanted to say was that, so what I learned when I was very first learning to be a doctor was that you could have, not a good time, but you could have very positive things coming out at the end of life. And it's not all losses. There are some big
What are those
gains
positive
as well.
things, Caroline?
There's stuff around. I'm going to use the example of me and my dad. So I wanted to say that I learned that about in my job as a doctor, but then as being a daughter, then I had lots of positive things with my dad. We had a much deeper, stronger relationship. We were already very close, and we became much closer. And he looked after me, and I looked after him, and we got much, much closer. And it was one of the most amazing things of my life, the time that I spent with my dad, close to the time that he was dying. And so he looked after me. I did some stuff with him, and we were kind of looking after each other. And then when he was actually dying, then I looked after him. And I really felt privileged, and I felt it was very positive that I was doing this for my dad when he was dying. So I knew that he'd done loads of things for me when I was a small baby and everything. And then I looked after him in some other similar ways. And that felt very good. And I knew it was good for him, and it was very good for me. And I won't have anyone say that that's not a positive experience. Of course, I'd rather that my dad had never died, but he's going to die sometime.
Yeah. Well, we're all going to die. The journey of life, the death is inevitable. And I mean, I think I was speaking to you earlier that, I mean, from a Muslim perspective, the understanding, we're on a journey. So when we die, that journey ends and a new journey begins. And that's why the rush to wanting the burial as quickly as possible and the preparation. You know, somebody said to me something amazing about washing, the last wash on this earth, you know, before going to the next world. And that's why, you know, the washing is done so meticulously, and the perfume, you know, and the description was unbelievable, that I'm putting perfume on my brother or my father or my uncle. And the reason I'm doing that is when he stands in front of his creator, he's going to be smelling nice. He's going to be washed. You know, these are amazing tools that you can take and you know, and you understand the deepness of some of these cultural and religious practices.
But I'm not a Muslim, and I washed my dad. And
you washed your dad?
Of course I washed my dad.
Do they? So I mean,
of course I washed my dad.
I mean, for the purpose of the burial.
Yeah, it was after he died.
Yeah.
Then and he died with me, and it was just me that was with him when he died. So I rang my mum and said, "Why don't he's just died?" And I said, "Please don't. I don't want you to crash on the way coming to the hospice." And then when she got there, then we both spent time with him, and then eventually I told, well, actually I didn't tell the people in the hospice that he died, because it wasn't really their business. It was like, that was my family that was there. That was my dad and us. So I didn't actually tell them. And eventually I did have to tell them that he was dead. And so then they came in and they wanted to do a whole lot of stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to do anything, because what's happening now is that I'm sitting with my dad. That's what's happening now. And you can go out. And so then when I did let them come and do all the sort of official stuff that they want to do, then we were going to go away. Eventually we were going to go away. And but I said, I want to wash my dad. I want to wash my dad. And my mum didn't want to wash him, but so she was there when I was washing him, and it was a good experience. This was like, I was looking after my dad. And so that looking afterness that's what I mean about being positive. So not only at that very bit when he's just died, but all of the other bits beforehand. And what my mum said to me afterwards, she said, it's not fair. And I thought she meant that my dad had got ill, or that my dad had died, or that he'd died then. And she said, no, what's not fair is that you knew you could ask, you knew what to ask for, and you knew you could ask. And that was when I decided that I must do something around this, because everyone should know that they can ask.
Were you a doctor around that time?
I was still working as a doctor then.
Okay, okay. Because of time
Yeah,
limitation,
sure.
I'm
Sorry,
going to have
go
to.
ahead.
I'm going to have to proceed. I also have lots of experience
Yeah.
about my own mother's death. You know, the last 24 hours, it was very hard and very easy. You know, when after death, you know, you go into another zone. I don't know how to best describe that, but either some people just go fully emotional, unless you're prepared with end of life and death. You know, I just don't know. So I just wonder.
I don't think you're ever prepared for death, though. You know, I think being a Muslim, I mean, and growing up and having those teachings, we are taught what to expect, or maybe how to deal with it, you know, how to deal with emotions, but you're never prepared for death.
Can I just now, in terms of, I quoted you Hospice UK. A 250,000 Muslims will be reaching end of life by the year 2030. That's about another 13 years. Now, also in Tower Hamlets, there's about 1,000 people dying in Tower Hamlets every year. And if we look at the population figures of Tower Hamlets, there's about 50-something% who belong to the BME community. And that's Bangladeshi, Somalian, Arabs. And I'm just thinking, the BME community, are we ready for the increase in numbers of people who will be coming to the hospital or go to the GP or hospices?
Well, this is why I got involved with Eden Care, because when I was a GP in Tower Hamlets and I was going to visit people at home, and I was going to visit to Bengali and white British, and I was seeing that, to be honest with you, the Bengali families were often less prepared than the white British. And I felt unhappy about that. I felt very, very unhappy about that. And so that's when I got a chance to be involved with Eden Care. I thought, well, seems to me this is a good, you know, I need to get involved with this, because this is like a high need thing. And it's about the community. The community need to do stuff around this. The community need to get themselves involved in this kind of thing. And that's, I go back to what I said at the beginning, is that the families are the experts. So they need to act like experts, and they need to be getting involved in this.
And they need to be not like shy away from it. You know, yeah, fair enough, there might be other siblings and, you know, they might have, but share the responsibility. You know, the understanding. Do you have everything in place?
Are we ready for it as a community, Rupina?
I don't believe we are.
Nobody's ready for it.
Well,
It's like having a baby.
Yeah.
You know, you sort of like, you do your best, and then you think, oh, what's happening now? And so it's not easy, but you just need to try.
Try, that's it.
But, you
And
know,
like,
as I was saying, we are very familiar with the GPs and the hospitals, and then having burial. In between the end of life, all these other support, we're not ready for that. The hospices, hospice care, the care home, are we ready for that? And within the end of life, there needs to be planning. You know, who's going to carry out your burial, for example?
You go first, Rupina. I want to
you
say
know,
something, but you go first.
that's, I mean, that's like, this is what Eden Care does. You know, we try to fill those gaps. You know, befriend a terminally ill person. You know,
Can you just, for our audience, could you explain what Eden Care is?
So, Eden Care was set up as a befriending and advocacy service for the people in the community that can't, you know, that can't really, don't have anyone and can't have a say in their medical or how they're being looked after. You spoke about Pascal. Now, Uncle Pascal, I mean, we knew him for 2 years. 2 years, maybe just over 2 years before he passed away. You know, we were there with them celebrating Eid, celebrating, you know, looking after them when he went into hospital, when he came out. We visited him on a regular basis. So, you know, it's having somebody that the family, if they don't know, and his family wasn't clued on, they didn't know what to do. So we sought that out, the statutory declaration.
Can I ask from Caroline's point of view, I mean, what do you understand about the work that's been carried out?
What, by Eden Care?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think, as far as I understand it, then there, as we've just heard, it's befriending. So that is, if somebody doesn't have a lot of good support around them, and it's going to be difficult. Everybody's going to find it difficult. Everybody's going to find it difficult. So, but there are some people who do find it more difficult, who may be living by themselves or have got breakups in their families, and so they split up and so on. And it's also, and some of the reverts who don't have Muslims around them, who they want to talk about Muslim stuff, and so they don't have that. So then Eden Care can go in, and they can do befriending, and they can also, with the advocacy, is that so that if somebody wanted something, so for example, it wanted to make the point about I must have same-sex people with me for washing, that's obviously going to be really important for Muslims, and maybe less so for non.
We're coming to the end of this segment of the show. There is a very important bit that I want to say is the Muslim community, Bangladeshi community, we're not used to hospice care, and there needs to be an opening, an opportunity be given to that community, and barriers need to be removed. And what we need to do, because of time, what we need to do is go on our next break, and I'm going to come back. But I think those barriers need to be removed, and people from the Bangladeshi Muslim communities, what we need to do, we need to be proactive and get engaged. So we're going to go for a short break. Thank you very much.